Why some SG&My founders quietly move ahead. Let me start with something that might irritate a few founders watching this. Curious. Most business problems are not strategy problems. They're positioning problems. I've seen founders spend years trying to optimize marketing funnels, pricing models, hiring systems, and sales scripts, and yet the business still feels heavy, slow, and resistant. Meanwhile, another company in the same industry seems to move forward smoothly with half the effort, half the noise, and half the drama. Size. And if you observe long enough, you start to notice something uncomfortable. The founders who struggle the most are often the ones working the hardest. Which brings up two questions that are worth thinking about before we go any further. Thoughtful. If effort alone determines success, why do some businesses feel like they're constantly pushing uphill while others gain traction almost naturally? And if strategy alone explains success, why do two companies using almost identical strategies produce completely different results? Those questions are more interesting than most founders realize, because the answers usually point to something deeper than tactics. Now stay with me for the next 20 minutes, because by the end of this video, three things will probably become clearer. First, you'll start noticing why some business environments quietly sabotage the people operating inside them. Second, you'll see why certain leadership teams feel like friction while others move almost effortlessly together. And third, you'll understand why timing decisions in business sometimes determine success more than the strategy itself. If that sounds useful, do me a small favor right now and click like, share this video with another founder who overthinks strategy, and subscribe to the channel because conversations like this rarely happen in typical business podcasts. Now let's talk about something most founders completely ignore. Environment. Most entrepreneurs think their business operates from spreadsheets, dashboards, and Slack channels, but businesses actually operate from physical environments first. Offices, shops, meeting rooms, workspaces, and the way those spaces are structured quietly shapes behavior every day. A retail owner in Singapore once called me because her store was struggling badly. The products were fantastic, the branding looked sharp, and the location had decent foot traffic, but there was one huge problem. People would look inside, but they wouldn't walk in. The few who did rarely bought anything. She had already tried marketing campaigns, social media ads, and promotional discounts. Nothing worked. When I walked into the store, the problem became obvious within a minute. The entrance had been visually blocked by a large display placed directly in the middle of the shop. From a feng shui perspective, the entrance is where movement and activity enter a business. But even if you forget feng shui entirely and just observe human behavior, the pattern is clear. When people approach a space that feels obstructed or awkward to navigate, they hesitate, they slow down. Sometimes they simply keep walking. Once the display was moved and the interior flow opened up, customers began walking inside naturally. The cash register was also moved from a dark, stagnant corner to a command position with a clear view of the entrance, the shop's wealth core. No marketing overhaul, no complicated strategy change, just a small environmental adjustment that stopped the business from fighting its own layout. Foot traffic doubled and sales shot up by over 30% in a month. Now think about this for a moment. How many businesses are trying to solve performance problems while operating inside environments that quietly create resistance every single day? That's not superstition, that's structure. And structure influences behavior more than most founders want to admit. If this idea already makes you rethink your office or workspace, take a moment to click like and subscribe to the channel, because understanding these structural patterns changes the way you run a business. Now let's move from spaces to people. Because the second pattern I see constantly in businesses across Singapore and Malaysia is leadership friction. A technology founder once approached me because his company had a strange. The business itself was doing reasonably well. Revenue was growing. The product was strong. But talented employees kept leaving the company. They would join excited, work intensely for a year or two, and then quietly move on. The founder assumed the problem was hiring quality. Maybe the candidates weren't committed enough. Maybe the talent market was unstable. But when we analyzed his BAZI chart, a different explanation appeared. His chart showed extremely strong metal characteristics. That means he naturally thinks like a strategist or a general, direct, decisive, focused on efficiency and results. Those qualities are fantastic for building systems and solving complex problems. But if those qualities dominate an organization without balance, the work environment can feel rigid or emotionally cold. He was a natural commander, not a nurturer. The solution was not changing his personality. That rarely works. The solution was balancing the leadership structure. The company brought in a chief operating officer with stronger communication and culture building instincts, someone whose Bazi chart showed a natural gift for managing people rather than systems. Within 6 months, employee turnover slowed dramatically. The founder continued driving strategy and product innovation, acting as the company's, while his partner stabilized the human side of the company, becoming its heart. Nothing mystical happened. The leadership structure simply became balanced. And once again, friction disappeared, which leads to a slightly uncomfortable thought. How many businesses struggle, not because their strategy is wrong, but because the personalities running the company are structured in a way that creates constant internal tension? This is where Bazi becomes useful, not as fortune, but as a framework for understanding how people naturally operate. And if this discussion is already triggering a few uncomfortable realizations about partnerships, teams, or leadership styles, share this video with someone in your business circle and subscribe to the channel because we're only halfway through the conversation. Now we come to the third factor founders often ignore: timing. Modern business culture glorifies speed: move faster, launch earlier, scale quickly. But sometimes speed without timing awareness creates unnecessary. A manufacturing family in Malaysia faced exactly this situation. They had developed an innovative new product line and planned a multi-million-dollar international launch. The product was ready, the marketing plan was ready, the distribution channels were ready. But one question remained: when should they launch? Instead of choosing a date randomly or rushing into the market immediately, they analyzed the situation using Chimen. This system studies how conditions change over time and helps identify moments when certain types of actions align better with the surrounding. It's about finding a cosmic tailwind to push you. Several possible launch windows appeared over the next 6 months, but one particular date and 2-hour window showed stronger indicators for collaboration: nobleman support, help from powerful people, and smoother market entry. So they launched during that period. Within months, the product gained traction in markets they had not originally prioritized. Unexpected distribution partnerships appeared. The expansion accelerated. Now, does that mean timing guarantees success? Of course not. But it dramatically reduces the amount of blind risk founders take when making major decisions. And if there is one thing business history constantly shows us, it is this: the same strategy can succeed or fail depending entirely on when it is executed. Timing does not replace strategy, it amplifies it. And that is why ancient strategic systems like Chimendunjia were originally used for military decisions. Because commanders understood something modern business culture often forgets: moving at the right moment is often more powerful than moving first. Now, before we wrap this up, let me bring all three patterns together: environment, people. Most founders spend years trying to fix business problems by adjusting tactics, but sometimes the real issue is much simpler. The environment is fighting the activity, the leadership team is structurally unbalanced, or the timing of the move creates unnecessary resistance. When those three factors align, progress suddenly feels lighter, conversations become easier, decisions become clearer. Opportunities appear that were invisible before. That is not magic. That is structure working in your favor. And if this conversation made you rethink how your business actually operates, subscribe to the channel and share this video with another founder who believes success only comes from working harder. Because sometimes the real advantage in business is not effort, it is key. And if you want deeper discussions like this about leadership patterns, decision timing, and strategic positioning, join the Destiny Architect Telegram chat, where we continue these conversations with founders across the region. I'll see